In this assignment, you're going to analyze your interests. Again, we're going to analyze them first, and then you will prepare a short written paper with your findings. I'm going to take you through this assignment step by step. There are places to pause, so I would advise you to pause at those spots and fill out the sheet. By the time you're done with this video, you will be done with this assignment. So let's move on to this. Your interests are preferences for certain activities. Finding your areas of high interest helps you identify work and leisure activities that might be pleasurable and satisfying. These interests may change as you get older and more experienced, so it's best to think about your profile as how you feel right now. First, you're going to start by recording your interests in the boxes that are provided for you. You can see favorite way to spend my free time. What do you like to do in your free time? I like to maybe read, and so forth down the line. Favorite ways to spend extra money. I like to spend my money on probably running attire. Favorite things to read about. I like to read about sports, and so forth. And then you'll go through and you fill out the 6 boxes that are listed up there. Next, you're going to go to the second part here. It says instructions for the first column on pages 2 and 3. In the first column, choose the response that indicates how much of the activity appeals to you. Don't worry if some of the activities are unfamiliar or require training that you do not have. The only thing that you should think about is whether you would like the activity or not. Don't worry about salary, status, or training. Keep in mind that all occupations and careers are open to everyone. Use a marker to circle or cross your answers. If none of the other response choices are appropriate for an item, circle I for undecided or neutral. Use the following guide. The first circle is for the activity you like very much. The second L is for what you like little or somewhat. I is if you're undecided, neutral, or indifferent. The D, the first D, that's not bold, you circle if you dislike it a little or dislike it somewhat. And the last D is circle D if you dislike the activity very much. So then we're going to go to page 2 of our sheet. We're going to work on this first column here. You don't have to worry about the red numbers that are there. We'll be using those later on. Okay, so work with small hand tools. You go through and you decide. I'm kind of indifferent about that. I don't really care one way or the other. Drill in a military company. March in formation. Nope, that's not for me. Plant your own garden. Love it. You continue on down the line. When you get down to the bottom of page 2, then you are going to go to page 3 and do the same thing. Page 3, flip there, you go up to the top and you start answering the questions. Do volunteer work with a community group. Yep, I would like that. Teach swimming. No, because I really can't swim that well. Be a preschool helper. Yeah, I think that would be fun, and so forth. And so you're going to continue and do this first column of page 3. Now that you're done with page 3, you're going to go on to the next instructions. It says instructions for the second column on page 2 and 3. To score your choices, use the red numbers at the top of the column 1 to figure out your score for each of the items you choose. And then you're going to total each column. So we're going to go back to page 2. We'll start up here. If you look at my first answer, it is number 2. So I'm going to put a number 2 in this box. My second one here matches up with 0, so I will place a 0 in that box. The third one is right here, so it is going to be a number 4. And I will continue all the way down the page 2 and also do that for page 3. As you're working on the sheet, sometimes what helps is to get another sheet of paper and just work your way down when you're working with the numbers, filling it in as you go along. Next, you're going to add up all the columns. So it works best if you put a sheet of paper in there. So I'm going to go down the column. I have a 2, a 3, a 2, a 3, a 1, a 2, a 2, a 2, and I'm going to add those up and I get a total of 17. Then I will move the paper to the next column. And I have 0, 1, 4, 6, 9, 11, and so forth down the line. And I will go through and I'm going to add up all of the columns on page 2 and on page 3. Now that I have the totals here for pages 2 and 3, I'm going to transfer those totals onto page 4. So I'm going to take a look. Mechanical 17, protective services 11. So I'll come over here and I will place a 17 and 11 in those columns. And I will continue on. I have 24, 26, 8. So again, 24, 26, 8, and so forth. And I will fill out those columns according to the numbers that I have on pages 2 and 3. Now that I have all of the numbers transferred from pages 2 and 3 onto page 4, you can see I have all them listed right here. Now I'm going to find the corresponding number that goes with this. So on my mechanical and fixing, I'm going to go up the line until I find 17, and I will mark that. I have 11 in the second one. I'm going to go up and then I will mark 11. I have 24 in the third one, and I'm going to go and mark that. So again, go through now and mark each one of these numbers to the corresponding number in the chart. What do the numbers mean? Look at your profile and find the two columns labeled standard scores along the left and right side, and you'll see them by following the red line here. Notice that scores below 50 in these columns are labeled as low interest. So if you look here, everything below 50 would be your low interest. Scores around 50 are labeled average interest, and scores above 50 are labeled high interest. So above 50 here would be your high interest scores. Look at your scores and see which ones indicate your low, average, and high interest areas. Many people have 2 or 3 interest areas with scores that are above 50. If you have more than 3, you should choose the 3 that are most interesting to you now and explore the others later. If you have no scores above 50 or only 1, it probably means that you are uncertain about many career activities, or that you like parts of some careers and dislike others. Going on to page 5. Up at the top, it says, list the 3 highest interest areas from your profile on page 4. So we're going to take a look at our profile and go down until we see the first X. My first X is right up there. So I'm going to take a look at this column. This column is for office practices. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to write and I will go through and I'm going to write the 3 highest that I have and the 3 lowest. Okay, I got my 3 highest and 3 lowest done now. Next, I'm going to compare what you wrote in the boxes above to the purple boxes on page 1. Circle the things that are similar to the ideas with the highest score in your profile. So if you look at my highest, I have office practice, educating, and nature and outdoors. So I'm going to go back to page 1 and I'm going to circle the ones that go with it. So office practice, educating, and nature and outdoors. So one of them would be reading, designing. Those go with my high 3 interest. Watching TV doesn't do a whole lot for me. And then I'll go through and I'm going to circle all the things on in my purple boxes that are similar to the ideas with the highest scores in your profile. The next thing is to put a star by those activities that are helping you develop skills that may be useful in the future work activities. We're right here. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. If I'm office practice, educating, nature, and outdoors, what ways I like to spend my time? If I'm office practicing and educating, designing would be helpful. Technology would be helpful, and so forth. You can go through your purple boxes and put a star by those activities that are helping you develop skills that may be useful in the future work activities. Moving on to exploring sample jobs, and again I'm on page 5. Find the 3 areas with the highest scores on your profile, these right up here, and put a plus sign next to the description on page 6 that matches those areas. These are careers that might interest you. So again, I have office practice, educating, natures, and outdoors. So I'm going to go to page 6. I'm going to look here. Office practice was one of mine, so I'm going to put a plus sign. I also have educating, which is right here. And I have nature and outdoors. So put plus signs by those 3. And then it says, find the 3 areas with the lowest scores on your profile and put a minus by the descriptions on page 6 that match those. A low score may mean that you don't know much about this area, or you might want to do some exploring. So my low is public speaking, writing, and medical. So you're going to go through yours and you will put minuses by the ones that are low on yours. Once you have done that, then you're going to go back here and you're going to read the descriptions of the area you marked on page 6. So you want to go through and read the descriptions that go with each one of these. Once you've read them, you are going to list one job from each of the 3 highest interest areas listed above. So again, these were my 3 highest. So I'm going to go to office practices and I'm going to read the jobs that match here. And as I look through here, I think the most interesting one for me would be bookkeeper. And so I'm going to write bookkeeper. And number 2 is educating and nature and outdoors. So I would match one job with each one that is listed up here. When I'm done with that, it says, do you agree with the findings? Explain. You're going to go through and explain if you agree or disagree with these findings. And then it says explain. And don't just put something like, oh, I don't think I'd like it. Or I don't know. Those answers will get you a 0 for this section. Go through and explain. Do a good job here. Kind of analyze yourself and see if the jobs that you listed here would be a good fit for you. Then you're going to do the same thing with the 3 lowest interest areas. You're going to pick a job from each one of those. For example, public speaking, lawyer, lobbyist, reporter, TV announcer, and so forth. I could put a recruiter. Oops. Do I agree with this? Yes, I do, because I am not very good at persuading people to do certain things that they really don't want to do. Okay, go through and fill out the bottom portion of page 5. Now double check to make sure everything is complete on this assignment and submit it to Canvas under the Interest Assessment Assignment.